E&Y Transport. Our mission is to grow a safe, trusting, and long-lasting partnership in the local transportation industry. Welcome. I'd like to personally welcome you to the E&Y team. It's an exciting time for E&Y Transport as we continue to grow. We strive to remain motivated and responsive to our new team members. I'm proud to have the opportunity to be able to provide jobs in this rural area and to help our community's economy grow strong. The world of transportation is an exciting area in which to work, and will continue to ensure our company remains on the cutting edge. We are very proud of where we are today and excited about where we're headed. Before I finish, I'd just like you to know that you, as part of our team, are our most important and greatest asset. We could not accomplish what we do every day without our employees. I'm very pleased to welcome you to E&Y Transport and look forward to working with you. Owner, President, Matthew York. The Employee Handbook is designed to inform you about E&Y philosophy, employment practices and policies, and benefits provided to you as a valued employee. We strive to provide the best possible service to our customers. Read this handbook carefully. We encourage open communications with all employees. If you have any questions, your supervisor will gladly answer them. The Employee Handbook is not intended to create any binding contractual commitments between E&Y and any of its employees. The policies described in this handbook should be interpreted as guidelines and do not constitute contracts of employment or otherwise. Conditions of employment. Each employee is required to complete an application for employment. Any falsification or omission of information on the application is reason for immediate termination. New employees must provide documentation that establishes identity and employment eligibility as required by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Individuals in positions that require driving on company business as an essential function of their job must have a valid license and will be subject to screening of their motor vehicle record. These employees must maintain a record free of serious and/or excessive motor vehicle violations indicating reckless and careless driving habits. It is the policy of E&Y Transport, Inc. and a condition of employment that an employee be present and able to perform their job free from the effects of alcohol, narcotics, depressants, stimulants, hallucinogens, and cannabis, or any other substances which can impair job performance. E&Y Transport, Inc. does require pre-employment, random, reasonable suspicion, or cause, post-accident drug testing. Equal employment opportunity. All employment-related decisions are based solely on relevant criteria and personal capabilities, including training, experience, and job suitability without discrimination. E&Y ensures equal employment without regard to race, color, religion, sex, age, pregnancy, marital status, national origin, citizenship status, disability, military status, genetic predisposition, or carrier status, or any other legally protected characteristic. This policy applies to all of the company's policies and procedures relating to recruitment and hiring, training, compensation, benefits, promotions, transfers, layoffs, recall from layoffs, termination, and all other terms and conditions of employment. Any violations of this equal opportunity employment policy by any employee will be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. At-will employment. All employment and compensation with E&Y are at will, which means that your employment can be terminated with or without cause and with or without notice at any time at the option of either E&Y or yourself, except as otherwise provided by law. Assignment of duty. Assigning duties to employees rest with those individuals designated as schedulers. Employees will be expected to carry out their assignments to the best of their ability with a cooperative and helpful attitude. It may be necessary for employees to work overtime. Employees are expected to comply with these assignments. Introductory period. All newly hired employees are subject to a 90-day introductory period. The introductory period is a time for learning about your job. The successful completion of the introductory period should not be construed as creating a contract or guaranteeing employment for any specific duration or establishing a just cause termination standard. Employment classifications. At the time you were hired, you are classified as either a full-time, part-time, or temporary employee. Each classification qualifies the employee for separate and distinct benefits. All employees hired as full-time or part-time employees must complete a 90-day probationary period. Part-time employees are expected to work the number of hours as scheduled by the supervisor unless negotiated at interview. For example, so many days, so many hours. Temporary employees. A temporary employee is expected to work under specific conditions, job assignments, work schedules, and duration, as agreed upon at the time of hiring. Rules of conduct and disciplinary system. Rules and regulations are needed to provide for the safety, productivity, and well-being of employees, as well as to ensure quality work at all times. The following list contains examples of reasons for disciplinary action and some instances for immediate termination. Following an investigation of an infraction of a rule or regulation, the appropriate penalty will be determined. Unsatisfactory work performance. Reckless driving while on company business. Excessive absenteeism. Theft or destruction of company or client's property, or knowledge or witness to theft or destruction with failure to immediately notify supervisor. Falsifying or unauthorized destruction of records. Insubordination to management. Absence without proper notification. Reporting for work under the influence of alcohol, narcotics, or illegal drugs. Possession or sale of illegal drugs or other controlled substances. Fighting, making threatening statements, gestures, physical contact, or other workplace violence. Unreasonable refusal to accept an assignment. Failure to follow E&Y written policies and procedures. Violation of any applicable law or rule of professional conduct. Conduct that adversely impacts E&Y reputation amongst clients or in the community. Social media. Employees should be aware of the effect their actions may have on their image, as well as E&Y Transport's image. E&Y Transport supervisors may observe content and information made available by employees through social media. Employees should use their best judgment in posting material that is neither inappropriate nor harmful to E&Y Transport, its employees, or its customers. Employees are not to publish, post, or release any information that is considered confidential or not public. If there are questions about what is considered confidential, employees should check with their supervisor. Subject to applicable law, after-hours online activity that violates this company policy may subject an employee to disciplinary action or termination. Under no circumstance are photos to be taken on any farms, feed mills, or on any customer's property. Farm violations. Violation will automatically occur if driver is not following biosecurity procedures or as directed by E&Y management. See attached biosecurity handout. Alternating the PTO settings is not allowed. Not stamping all paperwork with a readable stamp prior to unloading feed will result in a violation. Stamped copy and seal must be put in mailbox at the farm. White and pink copy to load out. E&Y receives yellow stamped copy. There should be no feed spilled on the farm. Violation will result if feed has been spilled and not cleaned up. The driver should make all efforts for cleanup. Driver should call supervisor for backup. Driver should never climb the feed bin. If bin lid does not close, report to loadout in Franklin. Driver will also need to turn a farm issue report into the E&Y office. Driver should always maintain a speed of 10 miles per hour or less while on farm property. Driver violations. No passing on 90. Trailing too close. If a driver rear-ends someone, it is automatically the driver's fault. Driver should use appropriate language at all times while on the company radio. Talking on the radio within 5 miles from the feed mill should be kept at a bare minimum. Remember, the radio is an open airway that can be heard by others. Disciplinary action can and will be taken for any of the above noted violations. Any driver receiving violation will have pay scale adjusted by E&Y Transport according to their severity for as long as the violation is on the basic FMCSA score of E&Y Transport, Inc. Scores stay on company's records for 24 months. Driver's pay scale will be lowered based on severity of violation below. Driving a CMV while texting or using a handheld cell phone is a 10. The adjustment in pay scale results in a deduction of $100 per month. Reckless driving is also a 10. And speeding over 15 miles per hour over limit or in construction zone is a 10. Speeding 11 to 14 miles per hour over the limit is a 7. The adjustment in pay scale results in a deduction of $70 per month. Driving a CMV without wearing seatbelt, also a 7. Failing to obey traffic control device is a 5. The adjustment in pay scale results in a deduction of $50 per month. Following too close is a 5. Improper lane change, turns, or passing is a 5. Failing to yield right-of-way is a 5. And having or using a radar detector is a 5. Speeding 6 to 10 miles per hour over limit is a 4. The adjustment in pay scale results in a deduction of $40 per month. Having unauthorized passengers is a 1. The adjustment in pay scale results in a deduction of $10 per month. Discipline counseling procedure. The basic focus of the company's disciplinary process is to correct an employee's performance or improper behavior with the goal of eliminating the improper behavior or improving the employee's performance. The nature of the circumstances will generally determine the severity of the discipline to be taken. Because of the many variable factors involved, it's not possible to establish a rigid set of rules for a disciplinary process. Moreover, as an at-will employee, the company may choose to terminate your employment at any time without adhering to any particular disciplinary process or actions. Accordingly, each situation will be reviewed in its entirety, and disciplinary action may be taken in any of the following ways. Counseling. The employee's supervisor may counsel the employee by meeting with him or her to discuss inappropriate behavior or a performance problem. During this meeting, the supervisor will clarify the employee's understanding of the workplace rules and job expectations. Together, the supervisor and employee will agree on a plan of action to improve the employee's behavior or performance. Verbal warning. The employee may receive an oral warning. An oral warning shall describe the problem, specify the improvement needed, a time frame for the improvement, and the consequence of failure to improve. There will be a written documentation of a verbal warning by the supervisor. Written warning. The employee may receive a written warning. A written warning shall describe the problem, specify the improvement that is expected, and establish a time period, or new time period if verbal warning was previously extended, for improvement, and advise the employee that more serious discipline will occur if the employee fails to correct the problem. A copy of the written warning will be made a permanent part of the employee's personnel file. A written warning is used for more serious violations or when previous verbal warnings have failed to correct the problem. Suspension. The employee may be suspended. A suspension typically is used for offenses that have been previously addressed through written warnings where the employee's behavior and/or poor performance has continued. Investigation of behavior and performance issues is warranted before a determination can be made regarding the appropriate method of discipline. Discharge. The employee may be discharged or terminated. Discharge, termination, is typically used for very serious offenses or when a supervisor deems oral and/or written warnings have failed to correct the behavior or reasonably believes that oral and/or written warnings will not be effective in correcting the behavior. Serious consideration will be given to discharging any employee that receives a total of 3 written warnings and/or suspensions during a rolling 12-month period, regardless of the reason. Attendance. The company is aware that circumstances may arise, such as emergencies or illnesses, which prevent an employee from working their scheduled hours. If an employee is unable to report to work or if they will arrive late, they are urged to contact their supervisor immediately. For example, employees are expected to notify their supervisors at least 1 hour prior to the time they are scheduled to work. Employees are expected to give supervisors as much time possible to arrange for coverage in the event of tardiness or an absence. If an employee knows in advance that they will be absent, they are required to request this time off directly from their supervisor. Such a request should be made at least 5 work days in advance, when possible, in order to enable the supervisor to reschedule coverage or replacement. Employees should be aware that habitual or excessive absenteeism, tardiness, or leaving early may lead to corrective action, including possible dismissal. Absence from work for 3 consecutive days without notifying your supervisor or another supervisor will be considered to constitute a voluntary resignation. Employee benefits. All full-time employees receive paid accident Allstate policy after the 90-day probationary period. Allstate also offers multi-policies like vision, dental, cancer, and life after the 90-day probationary period. Full-time employees after probationary period also will be eligible for the uniform program at their cost. Vacation time. Vacation time accrues up to one paid full week after employed with company for a year, can carry over and build up to 2 weeks. Driver of the 5 days, if split, can only take one Monday and one Friday. Safety. E&Y is committed to providing a safe and healthy workplace for all its employees. The company complies with all applicable requirements issued by OSHA and state. The aim of the company's safety and health program is to avoid all injuries or illnesses. It is E&Y's policy to exercise all precautions necessary to protect employees from all accidents. E&Y expects employees to take an active role in promoting workplace safety. If you witness an accident or unsafe working situation, you must report it promptly to your supervisor. Supervisors are expected to ensure that employees are aware of potential hazards in the workplace and instructed on proper measures to minimize those hazards. Employees must report accidents, no matter how minor, to their supervisors immediately. Drivers are required to attend all safety meetings that are held monthly. Dash cams, GPS monitoring. All company vehicles have dash cams and GPS monitoring devices installed. These dash cameras are capable of recording continuously. Recorded video is used for the investigation of security and safety incidents. Any altering of these devices may be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Workers' compensation. E&Y provides workers' compensation insurance to employees. This insurance covers all medical costs and benefits related to injuries or illnesses sustained during the course of employment, subject to individual state requirements. Employees who sustain work-related illnesses or injuries, regardless of their severity, are required to notify their supervisors immediately. In accordance with the drug screening policy of E&Y, all employees are required to have a drug screening after all accidents occurring while in the scope of employment to determine the presence of drugs, narcotics, or alcohol. Emergency procedures. Fire. Any person discovering a fire should activate the fire alarm. Immediately remove employees, clients, and visitors from the area near the fire. Contain the fire by closing doors to isolate the fire if possible. Direct fire department to scene of the fire. Rescue and medical emergencies. Emergency first aid, triage, should be performed by a competent person, if available, until the emergency responder arrives following these emergency action steps. Check the scene, then check the victim. Call 911. If life-threatening or unsure, immediately call 911. Care. Provide care for any life-threatening conditions that you find, if possible. Any serious injuries or medical emergencies will be transported to the nearest outside medical facility. Wages, working hours, and timekeeping. Timekeeping. All tickets and pay sheets are to be placed in envelope provided and put into outside mailbox by 8 a.m. on Mondays. Chattanooga drivers' pay sheets are to be scanned and emailed by 8 a.m. on Mondays to office. If no logs, paperwork turned in timely on Mondays, employees will receive a written warning and schedules adjusted. If after 2 attempts to contact employee fail by supervisor, the employee's check will be held in the office on Friday for employee to turn in completed paperwork. Pay period. E&Y employees are paid on a weekly basis. Driver and shop employees' checks are placed in the box on Friday mornings by 8 a.m. Chattanooga drivers' checks will be mailed overnight and delivered on Fridays. Last paychecks will be held in office for pickup so exit paperwork can be completed and all company items returned. Payroll deductions. It is the policy and practice of E&Y to accurately compensate employees and to do so in compliance with all applicable state and federal laws. Occasionally, however, inadvertent mistakes can happen. To ensure that you are paid properly for all time worked and that no improper deductions are made, you must record correctly all work time and review your paychecks promptly to identify and report any errors. All deductions are reflected on the paycheck stub. When mistakes do happen and are called to our attention, the company will promptly make any necessary corrections. E&Y is required by law to make certain deductions from every employee's salary for federal, state, and local income taxes, Social Security or FICA taxes, and Medicare. All employees may also authorize deductions for the employer-sponsored benefit plans if eligible. It is the employee's responsibility to monitor all voluntary deductions from his or her pay for accuracy and to inform the company of any necessary corrections. E&Y reserves the right to make any and all appropriate pay deductions that are not prohibited under federal or state law. Every report will be fully investigated and any necessary corrective actions will be taken. E&Y Transport. Our mission is to grow a safe, trusting, and long-lasting partnership in the local transportation industry.